All right, you want to hear Greg Wyshynski's Bobby Orr story that he told?
I love Bobby Orr.
I love Bobby Orr is what's it called? Is it called My Life, Bobby Orr, or what's the name of the book?
Isn't that Hitler's book in German, Mein Kampf?
Fuck off.
It's My Story by Bobby.
My Story by Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
Well, I'm starting to listen to Wyshynski's podcast so I can better understand what a sniveling geek he is.
I didn't even know he could talk.
Yeah, he's got this, I don't know, he crunches his face up and smiles like an idiot. Well, anyway, so he actually managed to get in a verbal confrontation with Bobby Orr, of all people.
Or
in I guess it was in Maryland. Or was it New York City or was it in Maryland? And I know Bobby's pretty quiet, but I don't think he gets in fights with reporters very often, or if ever. Are you guys familiar with any incidents?
No, he doesn't do that. He's pretty smart, so
yeah,
you know.
He's no dummy.
Does interviews, from what I hear.
So Wyshynski, the guy who lectures me about journalism ethics, is waiting in line to interview him. So he's going to ask him a couple questions for the blog, and he's going to touch on fighting and the role in fighting and things like that. So he comes up with like an icebreaker, and he comes with an icebreaker question, and then he finally gets his turn, and he says, "Hey, Bobby, how you doing? When was the last time you had to buy a drink by yourself in Boston or Canada?" And Orr looks at him, and he says, "Is this some kind of joke?" And he's like, "No, Mr. Orr, no, Mr. No." I was like, "Are you kidding around?" Like, because I don't do joke interviews. I'm not here. I got 10,000 people to talk to. I don't want to be doing a joke interview. And Wyshynski's pleading with the guy and not understanding what's going on because he didn't really say anything too horrible. He
was trying to start with a light question.
Yeah. And at this point, I'm kind of like, what's wrong with Bobby Orr, And he actually turned his shoulder, and at Wyshynski's own words, it almost turned into the "get the fuck off me" shoulder move. You believe this? This is his first.
Wow!
Can you imagine this? So he starts walking down the stairs. And then, I guess Wyshynski says Orr gets a hold of himself, and they do like a 5, 6, 7 question interview, which wasn't too bad, actually. I read the thing. And this is what and Wyshynski talks about how embarrassed he was and what have you. But here's the thing. And if you wikied it, you'd know, if you were such a good reporter. Bobby Orr doesn't drink, lives a regimented life, extremely conservative, probably makes Tim Thomas look like a hippie. And he don't take shit like that too keenly. If you had any idea what you were doing, if you had just went to Wikipedia, you could have found that out. But he couldn't find it out. So he actually pissed off a guy that's probably not piss-offable, which is amazing to me and made me laugh. Any thoughts?
No,
that's funny, right?
Of course, Greg Wyshynski could upset, probably one of the greatest players of all time.
You know what it is, too?
Hit the ice.
I'm pretty sure that Bobby knows who he is, and he didn't want to do it. And then Bobby
must
realized.
Listen to our show.
And no. Well, no, Greg's a big guy. Greg Wyshynski is in the Hockey Writers Union, or whatever the fuck it's called. They pick the Dan Vezina Trophy every year. They pick he gets to vote in the awards. So
let's start telling people that Bobby Orr listens to this show.
I think Bobby Orr has heard of Wyshynski before because he's a douchebag.
Yeah, and you wonder if that was he was looking for an excuse not to talk to Wyshynski, and then he got a hold of himself, and he said to himself, he really didn't say anything that terrible. How can I friggin' diss this guy like that?
Yeah, maybe he legitimately just, I'd never heard that stuff from Bobby Orr, so that's interesting. That is interesting.
No, it's funny because I remember it. My father used to buy me books about Bobby Orr, and I remember this. You guys had a writer named George Plimpton, I think his name was. He died a few years back. He was a really good writer. My dad got me a video with Plimpton and Orr, and they were doing this, they had a great interview, and it was just really interesting. Bobby Orr is actually one of my favorite players, even though he retired when I was 3. I've always had kind of a little thing for Bobby Orr. And it gets me that this guy starts talking about journalism ethics all the time. And also at the same time, when he wants to make fun of somebody, then he switches to satire so he can say, "Hey, it's a joke." And then he lectures other people about journalism. And this guy doesn't even Wikipedia to find out that's not the kind of thing you say around Bobby Orr.
Right.
And it just shows you the contacts he has this week. This guy picks the Vezina Trophy. I mean, can you believe that?
Right.
He recently admitted that he couldn't make a baseball team in high school. I mean, nothing. He can play roller hockey. Nothing. This guy picks the Vezina winner. This guy picks the fucking Selke Trophy. Can you believe it? Just proves anybody can be a sports reporter. Anybody. And there is no such thing as ethics or journalism ethics. And if it is, it's the smallest book in the world. And there's no such thing as journalistic integrity. In fact, I heard that Greg Wyshynski stole Halloween candy this Halloween in his Virginia neighborhood. He went around and he took the Halloween candy from kids and spit at them.
It's weird because
That's
Ryan
a shot
Lambert,
report.
from what I understand, Ryan Lambert is known. He's known for this, okay?
Yeah.
He is known for going into CVS pharmacies, right?
Yeah.
Then he goes up to the counter and he just yells at the top of his lungs at the staff working there. I've got lupus! I've got lupus! And then what he does is he smells his hand and then rubs his ass and he walks out. He just does it. He does it all the time. For a goof. It's weird.
Are your sources? Let me ask you something, Joe. Are these good sources? I mean, because that's pretty outrageous.
They are good sources because they've got him on videotape doing it. They just really can't. There's nothing to press charge. It's weird. People are like trading tapes. Like people at CVS pharmacies. They're like, oh, he came in my CVS now. Oh, you got a tape? I'll trade you my tape for your tape. Oh.
Check it out. I just got an email. And my sources tell me that Greg Wyshynski hit a man in a wheelchair and drove away. Oh. But the guy in the wheelchair couldn't identify his license plate. That's why he was never charged. That's what my sources tell me.
Right. No, that's not true, though, right?
I can't say for sure, but my sources tell me that.
There was a guy flashing himself on the beach. They never caught him, and Greg Wyshynski now lives in Virginia. Coincidence?
Yeah. I think not.
Yeah.
You just look up that red dot that was once in New Jersey that traveled to Virginia. The red dot moves on Google.
What was that story, Tommy? In one of your little rants you did, what was that story about? He sniffs prostitutes?
Yeah, I just did that for the sake of doing it, just to be weird.
Oh, God, I thought that was a real story.
You dope. And then I say that the guy sniffs prostitutes, and then I immediately go into how Shot from the Point has zero integrity and no ethics. Said you bought it?
Are we?
The National Enquirer, the National Enquirer of fucking internet radio.
Yeah, that's us.